The lawsuit telling a different story from the one police told on the night Kaysia Miller was shot. Police say Miller was having a mental health crisis and had attacked her mother and son while wielding a bat, a knife, and a gun. The family and their attorney, Jeffrey Feiger, say she wasn't armed when police tackled and shot her an estimated 4 times, saying she was holding her phone while on Facebook Live, not a gun, as police claim. The family suing for $50 million, alleging negligence by the department's crisis task force.
And the idea that we respond to mental health crises with guns is insanity, and it's not. It should not continue, and it should cost, because nobody is paying attention to it unless we make them pay a whole lot of money.
Miller is the second person in a mental health crisis to be shot by Detroit police in as many months. Feiger also representing the family in that case of Porter Burks. He says he still hasn't seen body camera video of that shooting despite a subpoena, and says he's also waiting on video of Miller's killing.
Does police wear body cams? If she had a gun, we'll all be able to see it. Let's see him. Turn it over right now. Show us the body cams of Kaysia with a gun.
La Comisión Interinstitucional contra la Explotación Sexual, Comercial y Trata de Personas de Honduras ha dado a conocer que un total de 122 personas han sido rescatadas de las garras de la trata, de las cuales un 68% son niños y niñas.
Niñas y niños son el 68% de edades de 8 años a 16 años. Son menores de edad y pues las mujeres representan un 38%.
Desde el Departamento de Seguridad Pública de la Organización de los Estados Americanos reiteran que se tiene un compromiso a nivel mundial para combatir este fenómeno, por lo que a diario se trabaja en mecanismos para vencer este fenómeno.
Siempre estamos desarrollando y construyendo nuevas alianzas con los diferentes países y con diferentes organizaciones para que en conjunto podamos colaborar y mejor fortalecer para enfrentar a este delito.
Se destaca que en Honduras existe una red de trata que opera de manera continua en zonas turísticas, pero que también está latente en zonas estratégicas del país.
Wartime brain surgery in tandem. Wounded in battle on the same day on the same front. 2 young men, the focus of these over-practiced neurosurgeons. Kramatorsk is often bombed. The windows, even in here, are taped to slow flying glass. The effort is intense to repair brains, to save lives, memories, loves and future dreams. They would have little idea where to start their delicate work if they didn't have use of this CT scanner. It can pinpoint damage, find what it's done, and it gives surgeons a plan of action. He says, yes, and unfortunately there is no left eye. There's a suspicion of damage to the right eye as well, but definitely no left eye.
This is the 4th patient we've seen in the space of about an hour come in for a CT scan. It's supposed to be doing 15 or 20 a day. They're actually doing 70 or 80. In short, it's wearing out.
This equipment is vital. The hospital can't afford a new one, but a used one's for sale in the west of Ukraine. Cost about $120,000. Price of losing this one, incalculable. He says he shows signs of severe cranial cerebral injury with acute subdural hematoma and severe brain contusion. He needs urgent surgery. The administrators here have raised about $60,000. They need help with the rest. This is the only CT scanner in a vast region. Critical. This machine is critical. CT is critical to provide appropriate care for patients with both head wounds and acute brain injuries.
Is it saving lives?
Definitely, absolutely, 100%.
There's been a steady flow of soldiers injured in and near Bakhmut. That is the scene of the heaviest fighting. But this is a hospital that is trying to deal really with an area, they say, about 300 square kilometers, and a lot of that is at war.
Some soldiers are relatively lucky. Dark was shooting mortars at the Russians, who shot mortars back. My commander was lucky. He sat in front of me and I sat behind him, and he was unhurt, and I got hit in the leg. But yeah, we've seen wounded and dead before. If I'm sitting here, I'm lucky. Ukrainians on this eastern front call it the meat grinder. Czech was alongside Duck when they were hit.
How would you describe the battle for Bakhmut?
One world.
He says World War I, trenches, mud, blood, trenches, mud again, artillery, trench warfare. That's it, World War I and World War II, something like that. Verdun, the Somme, something like that.
Verdun, Somme.
The difference is that modern weapons are now more powerful. Modern surgery, often the only route to survival. That and old-fashioned grit.
Thank you, Laurent. High Commissioner, please.
El alto comisionado de las Naciones Unidas para los Derechos Humanos dijo este viernes que Ucrania se encuentra en una emergencia de derechos humanos debido a la cantidad de personas que necesitan asistencia humanitaria en el país. Volker Turk informó que 17,7 millones de personas necesitan asistencia humanitaria, mientras que 9,3 millones requieren asistencia alimentaria y de subsistencia. Además, Ucrania tiene 6,5 millones de personas desplazadas internamente y 7,4 millones de refugiados. China y Arabia Saudita le pidieron a Irán que coopere con la Agencia Internacional de Energía Atómica y que mantenga el régimen de no proliferación y respeto por los principios de buena vecindad. En una declaración conjunta, ambas naciones destacaron este viernes la importancia de un mercado global de petróleo estable. El presidente chino Xi Jinping realizó una visita de Estado a Arabia Saudita esta semana, donde sostuvo reuniones con varios líderes árabes. Expertos de salud en Estados Unidos alientan a las personas a retomar el uso de mascarillas a medida que empeora la ola de enfermedades respiratorias en el país. La gripe, el virus incital respiratorio y el COVID-19 se convirtieron en una amenaza conjunta esta temporada de invierno, poniendo a prueba la capacidad de los sistemas de salud del país.
Flu activity remains high across the country right now. And here are the latest numbers. So far, due to the flu, at least 13 million people have been sick, 120,000 hospitalized, more than 7,000 deaths from flu have been reported, and 21 of those reported deaths have been in children. According to the CDC, all but 7 states are experiencing high or very high levels of respiratory virus activity right now. And in New York City, health officials have issued an advisory saying that everyone should wear masks when indoors in public, even if you've gotten your flu shot or had flu before. The advisory also lists other prevention measures like washing your hands frequently, staying home when sick, and of course, getting up to date on your vaccinations.
Sala de neonatología del Hospital de la Mujer o Maternidad Percibola, completamente lleno. Asistan a la cervocuna con 1, 2, 3, con 4 pacientes recién nacidos.
Nuestra capacidad instalada, nuestra capacidad de profesionales y todo se encuentra ya por encima de nuestras capacidades, ¿no? Seguimos con el hacinamiento de recién nacidos, de neonatos. Ustedes saben que aquí llegan los recién nacidos pues prematuros, ¿no? Estamos en la sala de quirófano, en los recién nacidos, estamos ahorita con 17 recién nacidos.
Recién nacidos en las mesas y un sofá es la realidad por la que vive hoy el Hospital de la Mujer.
Que no hay dónde ponerlo porque los otros 60 espacios, que es entre UTI, Unidad de Terapia Intensiva Neonatal, y los otros de cuidados intermedios, está lleno, está repleto. El problema es que nosotros no podemos rechazar ninguna paciente, ante la ley no podemos rechazar ninguna paciente.
Aseguran que se ven imposibilitados de buscar soluciones a este problema. Creen que es necesario la construcción de un nuevo hospital maternológico.
La solución definitiva pues, es un nuevo hospital, por lo menos con 50 camas para unidad de terapia intensiva neonatal y unas 100 camas para unidad de cuidados intermedios neonatales.
Indican que enviarán un informe a la Fiscalía para que tengan conocimiento de la realidad que vive hoy el Hospital de la Mujer.
Que puedes mandar una notificación, un informe a la Fiscalía, porque puede suceder cualquier cosa con los neonatos, ¿no?
El director de neonatología, Erwin Román, indica que hay 3 pacientes o 3 recién nacidos en una cervocuna.
En una cervocuna se encuentran 3 chicos. Un chico está con sífilis, el otro con VIH, el otro con neumonía. O sea, están mezclados los bebés ahí. Entonces esa es nuestra preocupación.
After 4 years together, Ray and Norina knew their next step would be down the aisle.
He was put in my path by God.
They've been planning their perfect wedding for months, all while Norina has battled stage 4 colon cancer.
I'm sorry, dear, you know, you have a mass, and it's stage 4. Rocked my world.
A devastating diagnosis she got nearly 3 years ago.
I don't want to hear about statistics. I declare myself a miracle from God, and I will be that miracle.
But her recent hospitalization had doctors worried.
She wasn't supposed to make it out.
So worried, they told Ray to do the one thing they'd been waiting for.
Did y'all get married yet? Because that's all we ever talked about. And I said, no. She said, you want to do it pretty quick. That next morning is when I jumped up, and I knew then that we were going to get married.
November 29th was to be their wedding day. All he had to do was make it happen.
We just did it.
Within hours, he, along with the staff at Memorial Hermann, brought in a florist, a photographer, even guests, family who dropped everything and drove hours just to be there.
The surprise was the beautiful execution of a wedding while she's in an ICU.
Everybody is pitching in, getting together, making sure that I have the best wedding ever.
And there,
it couldn't have been more perfect.
In the hospital,
and Holy Scripture commends it.
The two became husband and wife. Their vows,
for richer, for poorer,
carrying more weight
in sickness and in health, I'm sorry, baby,
than just words.
Until we are parted by death.
Until we are parted by death.
This is my solemn vow.
This is my solemn vow to you. Just the vow itself, just the manner in which he says it, and how we feel when we're actually saying those things and really meaning them, because we're in a setting where that almost happened.
Today, the newlyweds are back home with the wedding bliss they've waited for.
I wanted everybody to know that I loved her. I love you.
Yes, everybody, I think knows you love me, baby.
Desde su Declaración Universal adoptada por la ONU en 1948, los derechos humanos se han vuelto más reconocidos en todo el mundo y se han ido enfocando a grupos vulnerables, personas con discapacidad, pueblos indígenas y los migrantes. Sin embargo, la promesa de dignidad e igualdad ha estado bajo ataque. Un reciente informe de la Comisión de la ONU sobre el trato de China a los uigures y otros musulmanes en la región de Xinjiang lo evidencian.
El informe que se emitió el 31 de agosto es muy importante porque pone de relieve preocupaciones muy graves en materia de derechos humanos.
El alto comisionado expresó también preocupación por la exclusión sistemática de las niñas y mujeres afganas de derechos básicos por los talibanes, la ejecución en Irán de un hombre por los recientes disturbios antigubernamentales, las atrocidades de la guerra en Ucrania, la inestabilidad política en Haití y la situación en Somalia derivada por las sequías.
Incluso cuando el reto parece inmanejable, si los líderes políticos y sociales centran sus respuestas únicamente en los derechos humanos, las soluciones estarían al alcance. Eso es lo que establece la Declaración Universal, eso es lo que creo como alto comisionado.
Por su parte, la Casa Blanca emitió una proclamación reconociendo que en pro de los derechos humanos puso final a la prohibición de entrada al país de los musulmanes y que reinstituyó la posibilidad de que personas transgénero presten servicio militar. Esta fecha también marca el comienzo de una campaña en anticipación del aniversario número 75 de la Declaración Universal de los Derechos Humanos que se cumple en el año 2023. Ángela González, Voz de América, Naciones Unidas, Nueva York.
Queremos extenderles una gran invitación a todos nuestros televidentes de Telaruba para que sigan bien conectados con Primera Plana con Alejandra Forero, que transmitimos de lunes a viernes en nuestros 3 diferentes horarios. A las 6:30 nuestra premier, tendremos nuestra repetición a las 7:30 de la mañana y a la 1 de la tarde con las mejores noticias locales, internacionales, todos los sucesos que les dan la vuelta al mundo, noticias de virales, noticias de farándula y muchísimo más. Así que todos los días tenemos una cita aquí en Primera Plana con Alejandra Forero.
14 luna Jaranson y Javierna, de nuevo para su norte mainta. Repetición a tarde y su siguiente día, riba live streaming. Nos mainta ta entretener, educar y informar. Nos mainta aquí na mes na Tele Aruba.
El informe presentado recientemente por ICEX y FMRE, Foro de Marcas Renombradas Españolas, resalta que China continúa siendo una apuesta firme para las empresas españolas, ya que se trata del mayor mercado del mundo en numerosos sectores, principal motivación para el 70% de las empresas españolas que operan allí.
Bueno, yo creo que China es un mercado muy interesante para las empresas españolas y sigue siendo un mercado muy interesante para las empresas españolas. En primer lugar, por su tamaño, es un mercado grande. En segundo lugar, por su potencial de futuro, por su crecimiento. Y en tercer lugar, por, digamos, el atractivo que generan los productos y marcas de otros países, en este caso europeos y españoles, para el consumidor chino. Yo creo que eso lo hace un mercado muy, muy interesante.
Hemos querido dar la voz a las empresas y les hemos preguntado a un número de ellas que nos contaran su caso de negocio en China. El resultado de todo este ejercicio ha sido que la apuesta por China se mantiene. Todas estas empresas ya tenían un interés preexistente en China, pero nos confirman que en la actualidad ese interés se mantiene y para ellos sigue siendo uno de los mercados más importantes para su desarrollo actual y futuro.
En cuanto a los desafíos para las empresas españolas instaladas en China, apuntan a la evolución de las relaciones comerciales entre China y la Unión Europea. Las restricciones logísticas y de movilidad causadas por la pandemia también han sido definidas por el 30% de las compañías como un obstáculo que ha supuesto un retraso en sus planes de inversión. Pero por encima de esto, las empresas españolas apuestan por mantener y consolidar su presencia en China, ya que este mercado les aporta un importante volumen de facturación.
Empresas que están en China, que están sobre el terreno, están contentas de cómo se desarrolla su negocio allí y apuestan por mantener e incluso incrementar su presencia en el mercado. Tan pronto como se recupere esa movilidad, estamos convencidos de que ese interés se reactivará.
Bueno, yo creo que hablando de desafíos, principalmente las empresas españolas interesadas en China se muestran preocupadas un poco por cuál va a ser las políticas internas chinas, ¿no? Hasta qué punto va a seguir siendo un mercado favorable a la inversión extranjera. Yo pienso que en términos de preocupación o de inquietudes de las empresas españolas, seguramente donde más nos estamos enfocando es en ver un poco cómo evoluciona la política interna de China y los acuerdos obviamente comerciales con la Unión Europea.
For some children at this South London school, lunch might be their only meal for the day. It's a reality for many families across the UK, the cost of living crisis making even the most basic necessities difficult to afford. For family support worker Marjorie Dama, it's an issue at the forefront of her mind.
So even our dinner ladies are noticing that some children in particular are asking for more food. But I think it's really, really sad when people have to decide, am I going to heat my house or am I going to do a big shop?
Single mum Tash Grant is one of the many parents now struggling to put food on the table. Despite working nights at a local supermarket to provide for her 2 young children, she says she has, on occasion, been forced to send her kids to school hungry and is now having to rely on a local food bank.
Sometimes you're choosing between food, heating, things for the children, and basic things for the children, clothes, shoes. So yeah, we're feeling it.
Tash is not alone. Thousands of working families across Britain are having to make difficult decisions every day to cut back on costs. According to a survey from the Food Foundation, nearly 4 million children were forced to eat less or skip meals in September alone. While official figures show that the number of students depending on government support for free school meals has continued to rise since 2019, with nearly 2 million pupils eligible at the beginning of this year. But with UK inflation now at an eye-watering 11% and food prices rising by more than 16% over the last year, the situation isn't improving. And the pressure is being felt by both parents and schools.
Government are definitely completely out of touch. I think they actually need to come and spend a day in a school and actually see what we are dealing with day in and day out.
Schools have become a vital source of support for many struggling parents, stretched between paying skyrocketing household bills or paying for their weekly food shop. And with the holidays fast approaching, there are more difficult decisions to be made. Some parents now foregoing Christmas presents just to keep their children fed and warm.
Definitely won't be no extras this year. The times when I struggle the most is when the children are off school, because breakfast, lunches are 3 meals a day. So that's when I'm going to be struggling the most this year.
He believed in advocacy. He was somebody who always wanted the game to be better, and he wanted to root out corruption.
The death of U.S. sports journalist Grant Wahl coming as a major shock to the sports world. On Friday, he collapsed while covering the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. A journalist who was near Wahl says he was treated for about 20 to 25 minutes in the stadium before he was moved to the hospital.
Suddenly, colleagues up to my left started shouting for medical assistance. The medical team were there pretty quickly and, were able to, as best they could, give treatment.
Meanwhile, U.S. Soccer tweeting, the soccer community is heartbroken by the news, saying, "We are devastated that he and his brilliant writing will no longer be with us." Tennis great Billie Jean King posted this message. A talented journalist, Grant was an advocate for the LGBTQ community and a prominent voice for women's soccer. NBA star LeBron James also sending his condolences to the family of the man who wrote the iconic Chosen One story on James, then a high schooler, for Sports Illustrated in 2002.
Anytime his name will come up, I'll always think back to me as a teenager and having Grant, in our building down at St. V. So it's a tragic loss. It's unfortunate, to lose someone as great as he was.
In an episode of the podcast Football with Grant Wahl, published December 6, he had complained of feeling unwell. So far, the cause of death has not been released. I'm Isabel Rosales reporting.
I think it was. I think France took their chances. England didn't take theirs. Harry Kane, normally so reliable from the spot, missing and being worried out a bit by his club mate. But I think as far as France were concerned, they were razor sharp in the moments that they needed to be. That's why they are already champions, and that's why they look as though they're going to do it again.
And so much of the build-up to this game had been about Kylian Mbappe and how decisive he was going to be in terms of the result. But it says a lot about where this French squad are, doesn't it? That he was not the man writing the headlines.
No, he wasn't. He was snuffed out of the game by the England right back, Kyle Walker. But as far as France are concerned, they are where they are because they have leaders. The young Real Madrid midfielder Aurelien Tchouameni with a fine first goal, showing why so many clubs wanted to sign him before he moved to Real Madrid. And then Olivier Giroud, the veteran, 36 years of age. So many people play him down. He talks himself up, does his talking with his goals, scoring to make himself or consolidate his position as France's all-time top scorer. A wonderful performance, not necessarily aesthetically pleasing on the eye, but a performance of leadership to keep them in the hunt to retain their title.
How do you think England will reflect heading home? There's no doubt the image that will be remembered from the evening. That was Captain Harry Kane with his head in his hands, having missed that penalty at full time. But how will they reflect?
I think they'll reflect on a fine performance. There were a number of good individual performances. Bukayo Saka was outstanding. All of England's best moments came from him. Jude Bellingham really did take the game by the scruff of the neck in the second half. Harry Kane had a header go narrowly wide of the back post. It looked as though he was going to score in that moment. But Kane will be absolutely distraught. Normally he's so good from the penalty spot. His record is outstanding. He likes to step up and assume responsibility for club as well as for his country. And he's done that, Amanda, on so many occasions. But on this one he fell short. And they'll have regrets because this was a team that they could have beaten and they did take it.
So England heading home, France through to the semi-final where they will take on Morocco briefly. I think it's going to be a spectacle. What are you looking forward to?
The irresistible force that is France against the immovable object that is Morocco. Only one goal conceded, one goal in the entire tournament so far. They love defending, and I think this is going to be a wonderful clash of styles and of cultures, and it's going to be a fantastic occasion.
The universe is so much bigger than you realize.
2 films have received top honors from the Los Angeles Film Critics Association. Everything Everywhere All at Once and Tar tied for Best Picture. Todd Field also won the Critics' Directing and Screenplay Awards for Tar, and its star, Cate Blanchett, shared the Best Lead Performance honor with Bill Nye for his work in Living. It's the first year the LA critics have used gender-neutral acting categories.
She saved him. She wasn't trying to hurt him. She was trying to help him.
The Whale had a whale of a debut, the best limited release opening of the year. The drama, which has Brendan Fraser favored for a Best Actor Oscar nod, grossed an estimated $360,000 in just 6 theaters, an average of $60,000 per screen. The previous 2022 record holder, Everything Everywhere All at Once, debuted with just over $50,000 per theater. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Atlanticomics surge en base al proyecto de Dínamo Canelones, que ellos, abrieron una convocatoria para gente que quisiera hacer eventos y se nos ocurrió hacer algo para jóvenes y niños principalmente, pero es para toda la familia que le guste el cómic, que le guste el anime y la cultura pop en general. En el salón que estamos ahora es donde se desarrolla el concurso de dibujo, que lo organizan dibujantes de acá de la localidad, y también los videojuegos para que los chicos vengan y jueguen de forma libre o en torneo. Y después en el salón principal tenemos espectáculos que se van sucediendo en el escenario. Este es un fenómeno que está en crecimiento, ¿no? Como que cada vez vemos más este tipo de convenciones, y algo que a la gente le gusta mucho también es que traen sus propios cosplay, que son disfraces, hechos a mano por las personas. Y se suben al escenario, hacen una performance y se elige el mejor traje, y también se hacen menciones especiales a los que actuaron mejor y todo eso. Y es como una mezcla, en realidad viene un poco de Japón, otro poco de Estados Unidos, como la Comic Con de San Diego es la más conocida, ¿no? Que ahí van directamente a presentar su cómic personas así de las empresas de Marvel, de ese cómic. Nosotros, lo estamos haciendo a una escala mucho menor, pero también nuestra idea es que la gente acá presente su arte. Hay muchos artistas, dibujantes, escritores, todo el que se quiera unir es invitado, obviamente.